information flow. And let's face it, TV news is essentially boring. Is it not? I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. Amar Shawani, Santa Clarita, California. I appreciate Donald Trump going on the road to talk about affordability. However, it feels like he doesn't care about California. He doesn't. I got to be honest. He thinks your state is totally out of control. And they're suing him and fighting him on every turn. And just today, another judge ruled that he can't send a guard to LA. Trump's not going to help you guys out. David Carvin, Lumberton, New Jersey, on the Minnesota fraudcast, on the Minnesota fraud case. I heard no information on whether the government has recovered any of the funds. It's not been released, but it's doubtful the recovery has already been spent. The $1 billion stolen from the taxpayers has already been spent. It's hard to recover from grifters, especially when they're in prison, where they should be. Reynolds Dickinson, Lake City, Florida. Did the average Italian speak out against the mafia, or were they afraid? Wouldn't that be true of Somalians in Minnesota? Sure. I'm not talking about regular folks. I'm talking about elected leaders like Omar. Where's she? Like Walls. They're trying to justify this. It's ridiculous. The regular folks, of course, are afraid. It's not about them. Lewis, concierge member. Thank you, Lewis. While I agree with you on Nathan Bedford Forrest, this is out of Confronting Evil. Do you consider General Sherman in the same light? Or does he get a pass because Lincoln ordered the destruction? Look, it's a what about situation you're raising. Sherman did some bad things, but he wasn't pure evil like Nathan Bedford Forrest, who started the Ku Klux Klan. You can what about anything. In a moment, something you might not know. Hey, the holidays are here. It's a great time of year, but also it's when everyone is traveling, gathering, and yes, spreading germs. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy, a company that makes it easy to stay prepared and keep your household healthy. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, order online. A licensed physician reviews it. Once approved, your medication ships right to your door, fast and secure. Whether you need ivermectin, antibiotics, or everyday maintenance meds, they've got you covered, all from the comfort of your home. And right now, you can save 10% with code BILL10 at checkout. So take care of yourself and your family this holiday season. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to stay healthy and ready.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. As Christmas approaches, I want to encourage you to support Missouri businesses this holiday season. When you're out shopping for the perfect gift, please stop by a local store and choose something made right here in the Show Me State. Missouri businesses are the backbone of our communities, and supporting them is a priority for me. To find Missouri-made goods and retailers near you, please visit buymissouri.net. Merry Christmas, and please remember to buy Missouri.
Paid for by the Office of Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests and qualifies for federal tax credits through December 31. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 108 years ago today, an Irish priest rented a boarding house in Omaha, Nebraska. His new organization helped neglected children of all ages, races, and religion, primarily boys. And it remains one of the most successful charities in America today. Here is the story of Boys Town. Born in Central Ireland, Father Edward Flanagan moved to the USA in 1904, settling in Omaha. The priest was shocked by the sheer volume of homeless youth roaming the Midwest. On December 12, 1917, Father Flanagan took out a $90 loan from a bank and rented a large house. First called the City of Little Men, he changed the name to Boys Town. Within a year, 100 youths were living on the premises. The priest rented another home, then another. One decade later, the organization had numerous locations and dozens of staffers. In 1938, Father Flanagan's life was portrayed in the film Boys Town, starring Spencer Tracy and Mickey Rooney.
Whitey, the laws of Boys Town are made by this body and enforced by this body. The law doesn't require anything of a boy that isn't good for all of us. We have to respect each other if we're going to like each other, and living here together as we all do, we have to like each other if we're going to get along. We've been years building up the rules that we live by, and if you break them, you have to answer for it here in our court. You cannot escape it in Boys Town.
Well, 10 years after that film's release, Father Flanagan died from a heart attack during a trip to Germany. He was 61 years old. And here's something else you might not know. Since its founding, more than 400,000 young men have lived in facilities operated by the Boys Town Foundation. The charity began accepting gifts in 1979. If you are interested at all in it, you can go to boystown.com. Simple, boystown.com. Might make a nice Christmas gift donation. Back in a moment. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan. It's now available to the public. You can save out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-881-0365 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote. 800-881-0365. 800-881-0365. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-881-0365. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. For more news and honest analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on 3 nephews of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The move made yesterday comes as President Trump looks to inflict further pressure on the South American nation. Military affairs analyst, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, is defending those strikes on Venezuelan drug boats.
They're actually knocking these boats laden with cocaine and fentanyl and other illicit drugs out of the water, which is, of course, combined with closing down the border and getting tight on all immigration, makes it very difficult for these illicit drugs to come in and ultimately kill tens of thousands of Americans.
A provision in the National Defense Authorization Act would allow military helicopters to fly through airspace around the nation's capital without using the most precise kind of tracking.
It represents an unacceptable risk to the flying public, to commercial and military aircraft crews, and to the residents in the region.
And that assessment coming from the National Transportation Safety Board Chairwoman, Jennifer Hamady. The Utah man charged with killing Charlie Kirk made his first in-person court appearance on Thursday as his attorneys push to further limit media access in the high-profile case. We get more details from correspondent Ed Donahue.
The 22-year-old Utah man charged with killing Conservative activist Charlie Kirk made his first in-person court appearance.
Court is now in session.
Tyler Robinson arrived with restraints on his wrists and ankles. His legal team and the county sheriff's office asked Judge Tony Graff to ban cameras in the courtroom. The judge said no to the ban.
The sanction for today is that this camera will be relocated away from defense table to where the bailiff is.
I'm Ed Donahue.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, a low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around minus 10, some areas to the north minus 20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Hey, Mike Ferguson here. And for nearly 40 years, Nutrition Stop has been St. Peter's trusted source for natural living. They've got a great, knowledgeable staff offering more than just products. They provide guidance on your wellness journey with exceptional service, from 100% grass-fed meats like elk and bison and local produce to quality supplements and clean household products. 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peter's, just off the interstate at Cave Springs and Highway 70.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
If you can seize a tanker without killing anyone,
what's that?
If you can seize an oil tanker without killing anyone, shouldn't that have been the way that these fishing boats were also stopped?
Fishing boats? What was a fishing boat?
Well,
the drug runners?
The drug runners.
Those aren't fishing boats.
Yeah, but
those aren't fishing boats.
If you can seize a vessel without violence.
Okay. If you're asking me if I have sympathy for narco terrorists killing Americans whose boats that are carrying the drugs that kill Americans, I don't. I have sympathy for my neighbors in Missouri who've been poisoned, who die, and we finally have a president who cares about them more than the Democrats care about going down to El Salvador to drink margaritas with terrorists.
Missouri's U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt giving the media the business there as they rightfully deserve. Welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. How are you? I like that shirt there.
It's
my very warm and Christmassy, and
my winter plaid here.
I like that.
Yeah, I was on the show the morning show, and Jerome said I look like I'm ready to go cut some wood. I did. My dad and I used to do that a lot back in the day, but nope, I'm just cutting down liberals these days.
Those are the days that made you want to go to law school and not do physical hard labor, right?
Man, Dad used to get me up at my father's a farm boy, and he grew up in Southwest Missouri on what he describes as a dirt and rock farm, because that's what they grow down there in Southwest Missouri. They had cattle and stuff like that and a lot of row crop. But so my dad's been getting up at 5 a.m. for most of his life, and he'd get me up, and we had tractors and wagons. We lived here in the county of St. Louis, but on the far edge. We had this big old drafty farmhouse. And so in order to kind of cut down on the electrical heating bill, which would have been $1,000 a month, we would go out in the woods and cut down all the old dead timber and kind of, do the proper thing you should do for conservation purposes. And we would be out there for hours. Oh my goodness. I know what every single chainsaw on the planet does. And it was great work. It was hard work. It was honest work. But Dad said, this is why I'm sending you to law school. There you have it. So.
And speaking of Mr. and Miss Jones, it was great seeing them last night at the annual News Talk STL Christmas party. I love
what
your
a
mom.
crowd.
I love your mom.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
She does. I just love her attitude.
She was the highlight of the party.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What a crowd we had, Chris. Goodness.
I think this was our 5th annual Christmas party, and this is the one where we had the most people, which shows that we have a lot of advertisers and sponsors here on News Talk STL. And I want to give my thanks to each and every one of them for keeping the lights on and keeping us on there and giving the audience good conservative talk radio.
A ton of them were here last night, and I had fun just watching them speak to everybody here, because they don't often get to mix and mingle with all of us in one place at one time. And you could just see the joy and the happiness on their eyes and faces. And we should thank our management, Jeff and Joe, our owners, and Michelle, and Jeff's wonderful wife, and everybody else, everybody who put that thing together. We had awesome food. We had great drink. We had wonderful fellowship. And it was a great way to kind of really get into the reason for the season, and to thank everyone for supporting us here.
And it was always good to see the voice of News Talk STL, Jim Modlin. Don't see him very often. I went up to him and touched his face. I'm like, I think I know you. I think you look familiar.
Are you AI? Yeah,
exactly.
It was a great time indeed. Joey had a good time. I saw him triple snacking at some of the dessert tables that we had last night.
I was just taken aback by the excitement that Office Mom Michelle had when she said, "Oh my gosh, there are macaroons here." And she knows that I asked for that for one of my birthdays. I wanted the biggest assortment of macaroons so I could eat each flavor. There was like 12 different flavors. And I held back because there was hundreds of people looking at me as I was picking out my macaroons. I was like, I'll take 2 for now.
What exactly is a macaroon? I've had them before, but what do they consist of?
I don't know. Air. It's mostly fluffy air that tastes great. And then when I walked in this morning, I saw the big tray of treats, not a macaroon to be seen. And then Big Boss Jeff walks out with a Ziploc bag full of them. He had saved all the rest of the macaroons just for me.
Just for you.
Too funny indeed. Joey, I know we had to call a couple audibles this afternoon with our 425 guest slot because we're entering the holidays. You can tell because some people are now not available and some people are taking off for the rest of the year, blah, blah, blah. Do we have somebody for 425 or are we still working on that?
I'm talking right now with the booker to see if I have another congressman that can take the seat of Bob Onder.
Congressman Bob Onder and Congressman Eric Burleson, both in the air this afternoon, heading back to the Happy Heartland. So we have been offered yet a third congressman. So we'll see if we can get them on with us this afternoon. Chris's Corner, though, that's going to happen for sure at 4:45.
It is. And, yesterday my Chris's Corner was on this sad situation at the University of Michigan with the football coach, Shamor. I can't think of his name now. Moore. There is a sports reporter, a female, Jamel Moore Hill. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She's very controversial.
Yeah.
She called Trump a racist and all these things. Well, she came out with a commentary saying that this whole situation with the coach of Michigan, it's racist.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's racist.
Is it Trump's fault too?
Probably.
Is it Trump's fault that he was
Probably.
sleeping with his executive assistant?
So I've got a counterbalance to her assertions that his dismissal was because of race. I think I'm going to counter that.
When did we get to the point in time in this nation where we don't accept responsibility for any of our actions?
Yeah,
ever.
And you know, I forgot to mention this yesterday in the Chris's Corner. The one thing that makes this situation just as sad as his actions is that he was kind of a role model for African Americans. He was the first African American coach of Michigan. I think it's a 158-year-old program, and he went down in flames. And a lot of African Americans, whatever side of the aisle that they are on, are kind of disappointed that he let us down in a sense.
Yep, because there are several notable Black Americans who are coaching at the highest levels of collegiate professional sports. The coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tomlin.
Oh yeah. They're trying to get him out though.
Are they really?
Yeah, he's the Steelers have not had last few seasons have not been very good, so the fans are kind of turning on him a little bit.
But I wanted to point out my point in that I didn't know they were having a rough season. My wife went to school with him.
Oh, did she?
Suzanne was in the same class as Tomlin at. You don't think of William and Mary, Chris, as producing a lot of football geniuses, but apparently he is one of them because that's where he went.
You know, I got a strange story about that. Remember Lovie Smith, who was a quarterback, who was a coach here for the Rams, and ended up coaching the University of Illinois, and he was the Tampa Bay, I think, coach. Me and a friend were at a restaurant last Friday eating, and these ladies kept looking over at me and the guy that I was with, and they thought that I was a coach and that I was with a recruit because a friend of mine, he's like 6 feet tall. And they eventually just came over to me and was like, "Are you a coach or do you?" And I said, "Because you look like a coach." And I said, No, I'm just here having lunch. And then later she came over to me and she showed me a picture of who she thought I was. She thought I was Lovie Smith.
Were you a dead ringer?
I guess so. But the ironic thing is that I am actually related to Lovie Smith. He's like my third cousin. We found out about that when he was here in town coaching for the Rams. His grandmother and my father's grandmother were first cousins.
No way.
And I was like, how ironic that is, that she thinks I look like Lovie Smith. And I'm like, I actually am distantly related to him.
So there's the DNA.
Yeah, that's that East Texas blood.
Can he get you tickets every once in a while? That's the question.
I think Lovie's out of coaching. He didn't do too well at the University of Illinois.
I bet he still has access.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, yeah.
Chris's Corner. That will be Chris's Corner at 4:45. A speaker's stump speech. The climate delusion collusion, the climate catastrophe, climate change, climate, whatever you want to call it, the climate cult. The climate cult has been crushed, at least for now. Article in The Hill explaining why. Okay, that's at 5:07 today. Why has the climate cult, maybe temporarily, hopefully forever, been crushed? Speaker stump speech at 5:07.
And Tim, I had something in my stack of stuff about that. Did you know that from 1970 to 25, the average winter temperature rose 98% in all of the 244 U.S. cities had an increase. So they're still trying to fight. Global warming is here. They're saying that the temperature has gone up. In Vermont, it's been up 8 degrees. Wisconsin, +7. And Milwaukee, Wisconsin, +7. So that's proof of global warming.
And the Sunday high here in the heartland on December the 14th will be 17 degrees. So happy global warming.
Yeah.
So
or global cooling
or whatever
climate change,
cold
whatever
weather
they want to call it.
Yeah, as we often say, look, we have never doubted that the earth changes. Of course the earth changes. The earth has been changing, it will continue to change, but we had a guest on, and Larry's had this fellow on a couple times. It is much more sensible to focus on geological perceptions of the climate than meteorological perceptions of the climate.
We have a 425 guest.
Fantastic. He is
a lady.
Oh, she is Kate Monroe. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Marine Corps vet and just someone who knows about the craziness that's going on in California as well.
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Yeah, there's lots of craziness going on in California. Gavin Newsom. We can ask her. I'll tell you, Chris, this guy is the biggest chameleon on the planet. So I don't, he's so bipolar with his political philosophy. On one hand, he's got ultimate TDS and he blames Donald Trump for everything and he hates Republicans and blah, blah, blah. And then, Chris, this week, Gavin Newsom made news again. I think he just tries to make news. This week, he said Democrats need to act more normal, whatever that means.
Yeah, that was in my Chris's Corner early in this week.
You'll have
where
to
he
ask,
seems to be changing his positions leading up to 2020.
You'll have to ask Kate about that at 4:25. Kate Monroe, frequent friend of the show, We'll talk to her about the latest and not so greatest from Gavin Newsom land, the land of fruits and nuts out there in California, and the fact that, as we heard yesterday, over 2 million illegal aliens have self-deported. Is she noticing a change in California? Are things maybe getting a little better? And by that, I mean having the social safety net, the schools, the hospitals available for actual tax-paying Americans instead of illegal aliens. Is it getting any better in California, or are they always last when it comes to sanity and sensibility reigning supreme?
I'm not going to hold my breath on California becoming normal.
Not at all. And apparently, Joey's decided today is Ladies' Day on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Right. Abby Foster will be joining us at 5:25. Senator Nick Schroer has a bill to offer energy choice to consumers. I'm a little bit familiar with that bill. I know a couple of the government affairs lobbyist folks who are working on that. So I spoke with them. I don't have skin in the game right now on this. If they want to hire me, they can. But I spoke with them about it because I was interested. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, how does that work? And because we don't have a lot of options, Chris, right now in Missouri. If you're in the Ameren area, that's what you get. You get Ameren. If you're in Kansas City Power and Light area over in the western, that's what you get. If you're down in Southwest Missouri, I think it's Empire Electric or something of that sort, or used to be. That's what you get. There are no choices. So how does this work in providing choices for your utilities? Is that a good thing, a bad thing? How does it operate? Well, we're going to talk to a lady who knows all of the answers to those questions and more, Abby Foster, Senior Vice President for Policy and Advocacy at the Retail Energy Advancement League.
And that's very interesting because Missouri Scout had an article today about Senate Pro Tem Cindy O'Loughlin is seeking a pause on all solar projects.
She's on the warpath
in the state, and that she was joined by Senator Sandy Crawford, who is sponsoring a bill as well. So get rid of solar.
There we go, indeedy. And at 5:45, yes, Joey V's movies back again. Marty Supreme, starring Joey, one of our favorite actors,
Timothée Chalamet.
Timothée Chalamet. He's French, Chris. You got to say it right.
Timothée.
And Gwyneth Paltrow and a whole feast of other people you're going to know and love from this movie.
Joey,
Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank does an incredible performance in this.
Okay, Joe. Yeah, Joey, you mentioned cast of thousands and you mentioned Oscar buzz for this movie.
Guaranteed Oscar nominations and wins. I'm calling it now.
Whoa, hey.
Its only other competition is maybe one battle after another with Leo. It'll be Leo versus Timothée.
Would you be giving, because I don't know anything about movies and everything, would you be giving anything away if you told us a little bit about what this movie is about so I can kind of be...
I don't know if this is offensive to the people that do this sport, but it's about ping pong.
Okay.
Now, if you were a table tennis player, would you be offended if I said ping pong? Does that sound childish?
I think people that play at home in their basement call it ping pong, but professionals call it table tennis.
I think you got that right.
I think I'm a ping ponger, not a table tennis player.
The official name of the league is the ITTF, the International Table Tennis Federation. So ping pong, I think I just made some people mad. I'm sorry, guys.
It's fascinating, though, when you watch that.
Oh, the Olympic guys?
Those tournaments, how they can just return those balls. I'm sure they're coming at them at 100 plus miles per hour. And a little tiny ball.
Quick.
Yeah.
Can hardly keep track of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But Timothée, he's 1950s New York. He's wanted to be the greatest ping pong player in the world.
Is this a true story?
It's based on this guy, Marty Reisman, who was one of the best table tennis players of all time and also out of New York.
Okay.
But not really his entire life story. It gets nuts in this movie.
Because I'm curious. I'm trying to understand how a table tennis movie could be up for Best Picture.
Me too.
That's what's so exciting.
But we'll see.
Apparently, there's a lot of intense drama involved.
Never knew that
in this table tennis movie. Yeah, that's at 5:45. Joey V's movies.
Marty, there's a lot of sex involved in this movie.
Yeah, is there, Joey?
There's a lot of sexual content.
Opening credits, it's them banging. I swear.
Okay.
That was like the opening of Charlie Wilson's War.
Yeah,
where Tom Hanks is in the hot tub in Vegas with the hookers and the blow. Yeah. It's I love like, oh, this is how this movie's gonna roll, and then it kind of gets a little more serious. But that was a very funny opening of a movie as well, which I really enjoyed. Charlie Wilson's War.
It was a good movie. Watched that on Netflix several years ago.
Very good flick. Before we head to our first break and bring in Kate Monroe, who's going to tell us about what the latest and not so greatest probably is in crazy California and more. Want to remind you, the food drive continues through December 21st. We have mounds of food here, but we're happy to have many mounds more. There's now with Chris's St. Louis Windows and Doors folks jumping in, we have 11 locations around the St. Louis Metro. If you want to know where those are, and if there's one near you, which I promise you there is because they're all over the place, you can go to newstalkstl.com and you can check out everything you need to know about how to participate in our canned food drive. So what is today? Today's the 12th. We got another 9 days left for you to participate in this. And I think the STL Windows and Doors folks are going to do like a runaround on the 22nd.
22nd. They're going to come pick your donation up if you call them and let them know. Their website is STL Windows and Doors. So if you've got items that you want to pick up around December 22nd, they will pick them up and bring them to us or to one of the drop-off points, which I noticed, Tim, when I came in today, that our barrel was starting to get full again.
It is. It is indeed. And if you want to win stuff, we can help you out on that item as well. newstalkstl.com/Christmas for the conservative Christmas stocking stuffer contest. A whole gaggle of our advertisers and supporters have donated a ton of gift cards. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers with the top prize of $500 gift certificate for Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. In addition to that, like I mentioned, a whole host of other gift cards will be given out. Joey, prior to the Christmas holiday, to help out those folks who forgot to go buy stuff?
I'm letting people know on December 23rd, so they'll be opening presents knowing that they could come and get it right before we close for the day, or wait till after we reopen the following week.
All right.
And just for clarification, we are not eligible to win the Newstetter prize, correct?
Is that true or not?
I'm not.
I'm going to enter.
I don't know. Did you have a good interview with Richard yesterday?
I did. We always have great interviews with Richard.
Maybe you can convince him.
We did indeed. All right, we're going to head to our first break this afternoon. Kate Monroe, U.S. Marine Corps retired. She does a lot of great work with vets. A lot of great work with vets throughout the year, but especially during the holiday season when many folks need the help the most. All of that next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Think of all the fun I've missed.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Fellas that I haven't kissed. Next year I could be just as good if you check off my Christmas list.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around -10, some areas to the north -20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey everyone, it's Todd Showalter with my buddy Joey V. Be sure to join me and Joey for the Right Mind Show, where we put the fun in our dysfunctional world. Saturdays at 5, right here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
And speaking of last night's Christmas party and one of our fine advertisers, my dentist was there, Dr. Alan Link. Of course, he is with the Dental Link in Baldwin, and Dr. Link and his team, they are true pioneers in modern dental implant dentistry. You know, I tell you that I went through the many dental implant process myself. And let me tell you firsthand, it was less invasive, it was less painful, and the recovery time was so much quicker than I expected. And I'm not the only one in my family who trusts Dr. Link. My wife and even my father-in-law are patients too, which tells you how much confidence we have in the Dental Link. So if you're missing a tooth or struggling with loose dentures, many dental implants, they may be the solution you've been waiting for. And here's the best part. They cost much less than traditional implants. That used to be very, very expensive, but no longer. You know, the Dental Link, of course, is a state-of-the-art facility right on Manchester Road in Baldwin, offering everything from cosmetic dentistry to implants. Take it from me and my family. If you want your smile back with confidence, call the Dental Link today at 314-794-6464 or visit dentallink.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peter's. For over 100 years, we're proudly serving St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. On behalf of Tim Jones and I just want to thank you for making Jeffco Patriot Radio the #1 listened to show on Sundays here on News Talk STL, where we dive into all the things happening in and around Jefferson County. Check Tim Jones and I out on Jeffco Patriot Radio this and every Sunday at high noon here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Border crossings are down over 93% year over year. Meanwhile, we're removing illegal aliens who came in under the Biden administration. By the end of this year, 2.5 million illegal aliens will have left our country. That includes over 600,000 that were detained and deported, but 1.9 million virtually have left voluntarily through our communication efforts, through the efforts of facilitating plane tickets, and also $1,000 reimbursements for those who choose to go home voluntarily with the opportunity to come back the right way someday.
429 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And we're always honored, Tim, to have on the show Kate Monroe. She is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and she is the founder of VetCom. Kate, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Lots to talk about.
Yes, a lot to talk about. Before we get into some of the issues today, because we seem to get to this at the end, but I want to get to this at the beginning. Tell us about VetCom, the organization that you've started, and exactly what you guys do.
Very simply put, VetCom's job, or mission, I should say, is to make sure that our nation's veterans navigate the VA disability compensation bureaucracy easy, without hassle, in short order. And we have helped 22,000 people get $8 billion in lifetime income in just the last 16 months. We are, by orders of magnitude, per capita, the largest organization that does this in the world. That is by a private citizen. Something we're very proud of, and look to, we would like to, over the next few years, support over 1 million.
That is amazing, Kate. I bet the need of veterans, probably it's year round, it's 24/7, but I would imagine some vets struggle, especially during the holiday season. Do you see that on your end?
We've definitely seen a spike in people calling us just for the sake of calling, if you know what I mean, just to hear a voice. We definitely have that sense of loneliness that we feel like runs from Thanksgiving through the new year. We see about a 40% uptick in suicide calls during the holidays. So we have more staff on deck, more hours a day to make sure that we keep them on this side of the dirt, navigate them through this holiday season. But yeah, it's a very trying time for our nation's veterans. They get very lonely.
Kate, is there one particular problem that you see often that when veterans call you that they need help with?
A lot of them either have mental health challenges. mostly anxiety that keeps them from getting the compensation. So it's sort of like the VA relies on this anxiety to keep people poor. So we feel like it's our job to squash that anxiety, offload it from them to us, and then get them paid, because many of them just don't even have grocery money. You know, when people are telling us, hey, you got us rated, now we can afford the good cheese, now I can put a roof on my house, that's a big deal to us.
Kate, your beloved home state of California is often in the news, and we watch here in the heartland just with sick twisted fascination at the constant chameleon attitude of Gavin Newsom. I mean, one week, Kate, he's trashing Donald Trump with his extreme TDS, and then this week, Kate, he's telling Democrats that they need to stop being so weird and be more like normal people, sort of channeling Tim Walz, but telling his own people that way. I mean, Kate, does he just not know who he is or what he needs to be? He's trying to figure out the electorate, I guess, when he runs for president.
Yeah, I think he's doing, sort of polling by way of podcast. You know what I mean? I just think if I could identify the two things he seems to be running on, the pillars seem to be climate change and more trans kids, because you can't run on safety because your own home state's not safe. You can't run on cleaning up homelessness. You can't run on a secure border. Can't run on fire prevention. So you got to just, all the little BS witchcraft things out there, you got to latch onto those and hope the 1% of people get you over the line. That's what we see from California.
Okay, speaking of transgender and that issue, recently a judge sided with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon over the ban on transgender troops in the U.S. military. Your overall thoughts on that?
I love that for us. I absolutely love that. I served in the Marine Corps. And I didn't even know what a trans person was when I served in the Marine Corps. It's a new thing, apparently. It definitely creates a safer environment for troops, and it gets us back to that military readiness and lethality. This mental illness does not belong in the military. You unfortunately, if you want to be trans and cut it off or tuck it in, do that on your own time, on your own dime, in your own civilian life, not on the military's dime.
I like that. What was that you just said again? Cut it off or tuck it in. I like that.
Yeah, but I don't really want to do it. Don't do it here.
And definitely not on the taxpayer's dime. That is for sure.
Yeah, not on my dime for sure.
Kate Monroe, CEO of VetCom, U.S. Marine Corps, retired, and our special guest this afternoon. Kate, it's amazing, isn't it? Watching Democrats, their comms partners in the national liberal media, once again, twist themselves into pretzels. Donald Trump has a magnificent way of making them do this, defending narco-terrorists and Venezuelan dictators over blowing up drug boats. I mean, Kate, did you ever think you'd see the day?
No, it's wild. I'm thinking you didn't get this mad when the drugs made their way to the shore and killed people's kids. Like, where was all this outrage then? It's like somebody who served in the military. I'm so good with us handling war out on the water, or from the water for that matter. I'm not really trying to make sure that should they land on the beach and then go out with all the beachgoers and then they, shoot missiles at them then? Like, when should they do it? When is a good time?
That's such a great point.
Okay, we know that AI is everywhere now. You can't turn on the news or look in your newspaper without some type of AI story. You penned a op-ed that highlights the challenges of the Veterans Association's AI-driven claims processing. Tell us about that op-ed.
Well, it's a twofold problem. You have some companies popping up that want to use AI to make claims. But AI is going to, unfortunately, not know what it's doing and make you complicit in fraud. And the secondary thing that's happening is the VA itself, to sort of, in quotes, get down the backlog, they're utilizing AI to run through records, to run through all of the submissions, and AI is just deciding, well, these people just they're not going to get an appointment. Well, how then does it get extrapolated further when AI talks to AI? AI's job is to be efficient with your dollars. And as an insurance company, the VA, I don't think they have a lot of business using AI to thwart the success of veterans. And companies out there only utilizing AI, you're doing a disservice to the veterans that you serve, in my opinion. We're a people-driven, mission-driven company. We think people need to talk to people because that's what people need.
Kate, we don't hear, he's not in the news often, but I do enjoy hearing him when he is, the current U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, former Congressman Doug Collins. Kate, because we don't hear about him so much, tell our listeners how you think he's doing. What is he doing to reform and make the VA better and work more for veterans?
Well, I met Doug Collins. I was actually invited out to his first hearing and then sat in a roundtable with him. Thought he was a very intelligent man, highly intellectual, trying to do a good job for veterans. My main concern of what they're trying to do now is that they're trying to get rid of part of the CMP exam process, meaning they're trying to just make decisions based on records. Well, what about all the veterans that served in eras that there was no recording, or they served in a unit where they didn't record it? So you're just going to say to them, like, too bad, we're not going to pay you. So I think they need to do a better job branding that particular thing, because we've had about 4,000 calls of veterans pretty scared about what's going on with the CMP exam process. And that makes up, 25% or so of our customers. So that's quite a lot of people being very scared about what's to come. So I think when they roll these things out, they need to do podcast style and speak directly to veterans and do the wave tops of the legislation you're trying to pass so they understand it. They shouldn't have to guess. Let's not let their anxiety take over and have them spiraling at home by themselves. That would be my one area of, what they could work on from their end. Offload more of this hassle and bureaucracy and just make things easier for them to understand.
Kate, we know that the Democrats like to play politics, and they are playing politics in an area that it shouldn't be played in, which is the Pentagon. There's reports that Congress is looking at withholding the Pentagon's travel funds until it provides unedited videos of those strikes on the drug boats. Your thoughts on that?
I think that's wild. It's sort of amazing. I was thinking today, I actually ran for Congress here in California. I'm the CEO of a, multi-million-dollar company. I've done, actually lived and done a lot and solved a lot of problems. Most of these people, these seated members, have not done any of that. They don't actually know operationally how to make good decisions. All they need to do to keep their job apparently is fundraise, grandstand, and gaslight. That's the entire recipe for the Democrats. They do not care if it puts people in danger. They don't care if it squashes the mission. They only care about one thing: staying in their seat at all costs, even the cost of American lives.
Speaking to Kate Monroe, U.S. Marine Corps retired. She's CEO of VetCom, helping vets every single day all across the country. Kate, it was amazing. It was amazing to watch the singular act of bipartisanship this year, but Congress did get together in a bipartisan fashion, and they did reauthorize the National Defense Authorization Act. I don't know if you had any time at all to kind of look at this, but do you think that in general, the Trump administration is doing a better job in reworking the NDAA every year versus what Biden did? Or is it just the same kind of stuff year after year that gets renewed? Or is the Trump administration putting extra special emphasis on more key important areas?
Well, I think that's a two-part answer. One, I think, unfortunately, this that just passed was more of the same. Not to say that this administration hasn't gone lightning speed, literally folding time from A to Z, collapsing timelines on getting things fast-tracked for America. But when you have something so bloated and so big that so many people have their hand in, very difficult for it to change because so much money is transacted in all of these bills. People don't realize that inside of all these bills, because I didn't read it on my off time. Neither did anyone else, even the people that passed it.
Right.
They just want to make sure that their money, that their people who lobby, that the people who give them money, that their interests are taken care of. And that is a sad thing that we see here in politics here in our country and around the globe, unfortunately.
Hey, if you were made VA secretary for a day, or you were offered that job, what would be one of the first things that you would do in that office?
Well, one of the first things that I would do would be, as I said earlier, to be more transparent in the way in which that I would communicate with veterans. Veterans have a correct impression of the government and of the VA that is sort of a let them eat cake. We're a big insurance company, and if we decide to pay you, we will, and we're going to keep you in a constant state of anxiety. So I would completely squash all that anxiety. I am 100% rated Marine Corps vet. I myself get into a little bit of analysis paralysis, this funny little OCD tics of perfectionism, like everything has to be right all the time or I shouldn't ship it. And we need to stop that. If you did that one thing, the relationship between veterans and the VA and the government would be much better. And all the other decisions you tried to run behind that would go well. They would get adopted better. You wouldn't be in constant war with the Legion and the DAV and the VFW and everybody else, because you would be communicating transparently and not acting like an insurance company.
Kate, before we let you go, tell our audience one more time a little bit more about VetCom, and for all we have a lot of veterans, Kate, that listen to us here in the Heartland, how they can find out more about VetCom and whether or not they might be eligible for your services.
Well, if you're a veteran sitting at home and you are underrated, meaning collecting too little compensation, or you have never been rated and compensated properly, from the time you're listening to me right now, 4 to 6 months from now, you could be up to $4,000 a month richer. You can find us at VetCom, VETCOMM.us. You could actually just pick up the phone and call us, and somebody will answer the phone at 858-360-2227, 858-360-2227. Someone will pick up the call. We'll give you a free strategy, and then you can decide for yourself.
And before we let you go, I want to ask you this. What made you start VetCom? Did you have a nightmare scenario with the VA, and that inspired you to start this organization and to help other veterans?
Well, two things. One, I did have a very difficult situation. I waited 11 years after getting out of the service, after being assaulted, after smashing my nose and eye socket and elbow, and having a bunch of things go wrong under a weird set of circumstances. I got out, got nothing, and then started to sort of chase it down, got a little bit of something using a free service. But then I actually opened a car dealership like 5 seconds before COVID started, which is, the best time to open business. And I said it was veteran owned and operated, and I helped about 200 people get compensation so that they could afford to buy a car. And then I just said, man, this is a big problem. And I figured out how to solve it. VetCom was born.
That is Kate Monroe, CEO of VetCom, former Marine. I forgot there's no such thing as a former Marine. I apologize for that, but thank you. Thank you for your service, and thank you so much for joining us today. And have a Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Thank you. 4:43 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And when we come back on Chris's Corner, I've got a response to ESPN reporter Jamel Hill, her allegations that Sharon Moore was fired because of his race. So I'm going to give a counterpoint.
Unreal.
Yeah, I'm going to give a counterpoint to that next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around -10, some areas to the north -20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Tonight's story behind the story, the Empire State Building. Things you probably didn't know.
Larry Connors USA.
Now weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL. Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, DeGregorio's Food Products, RealtyNet Service Realtors, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
JC's Wayback Machine.
This week, it's more stuff from my exclusive Christmas library, including a hilarious interview with Harry Connick Jr.
Number one, if you could not sing ever again when I'm talking. Okay, wow. I thought we established that.
Wow. Plus great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. Nobody in St. Louis radio is doing what we're doing, and it's all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stiefel. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Today, the former University of Michigan football coach who was fired and arrested, now facing multiple charges, virtually appearing in court for the first time as stunning details emerge. A criminal complaint charging Sharon Moore with felony home invasion and 2 misdemeanors of stalking and breaking and entering. Moore's defense telling the court the 39-year-old has no criminal history and poses no threat to the public. The judge ordering Moore to be released on $25,000 bond. In court, Moore barely speaking.
You understand? Yes, Your Honor.
But acknowledging the conditions of his bond.
447 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim, we said it over and over. This has to be one of the most stunning and quick downfalls I have ever seen. A couple of weeks ago, he's coaching against Ohio State. They're big rivals. He loses. They're headed to the Fiesta Bowl, a big-time bowl game. He is the head coach of the University of Michigan football team, one of the most storied programs in college football history. And now he's in a jail cell being accused of assaulting his girlfriend, getting her pregnant, cheating on his wife. He has 3 young daughters. I mean, I'm searching my memory banks to remember such a quick downfall as this. It's sad. It's tawdry. And unfortunately, this is a story that's not going to be going away anytime soon, which makes it even worse for him.
Sometimes you have one element or another. He has unfortunately thrown all of them into the stew pot, and it's just epic. I mean, it's an epic tragedy. Not just the marriage malfeasance, not just getting fired, but criminal charges as well. Yeah. I mean, talk about turning your life upside down, and he has no one, unfortunately, but himself to blame.
And I think he's done his coaching career. If this would have just been having an affair with an affair. If it was just an affair with a staff worker, he could lay low for a little while, go back to coaching some Division II team, maybe a high school team, work his way back up. But with these other assault allegations added on to this, I think his coaching career is effectively over.
It's going to take
at 39 years old.
He has a lot to work through with all of this, and it'll take him. America loves a good comeback story, but this is going to be a long time of coming. I mean, he's not even 40 years old. What's he going to do the rest of his life? He's going to have to do a lot of rebuilding.
I hope he saved a little bit of that $6 million a year salary that he was making.
I hope so.
But in today's world, the wife, if she does not stay with them, she's going to get a big chunk of that money. All right, let's do a little Chris's Corner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
Jemele Hill, she, if you remember her, she sparked a controversy back in 2017 with a series of tweets that were critical of President Trump. She described him as a white supremacist. She was later suspended for 2 weeks for a second violation of ESPN's media policy when she suggested fans of the Dallas Cowboys boycott the team. Sponsors in retaliation for Jerry Jones' stance on players kneeling during the national anthem. Well, she has come out with an assertion that Sharon Moore was fired because of his skin color. It isn't just wrong. It's lazy, it's dishonest, and it's corrosive. Look, this wasn't about wins and losses. As sure as hell, it wasn't about race. It was about conduct, judgment, and accountability. The same standards every coach, CEO, or public figure is held to when their personal behavior collides with their professional responsibilities. Here's what Jemele Hill always does. She strips away context, ignores facts, and injects race where it doesn't belong, because race is the only lens she knows how to use. I call those type of people poverty pimps. If a black man succeeds, it's historic. If he fails, it must be racism. That worldview isn't empowering. It's creating someone like a child. Michigan didn't fire Moore because he's black. Michigan fired Moore because actions have consequences. If Moore were white, Hispanic, or a green Martian, the outcome would have been the exact same. Universities don't hand out lessons learned memos when a coach's behavior becomes a liability to the program, the brand, and the institution. They protect the institution, period. And here's the uncomfortable truth Jemele doesn't want to acknowledge. Black men are not helped by pretending standards don't apply to us. We don't advance by demanding exceptions. We don't advance by meeting and exceeding the same expectations as everyone else. That's how we advance. Jemele Hill's commentary doesn't defend Black men. It weakens us by telling the world we can't be held accountable without it being, quote unquote, racism. That's not justice. That's not progress. That's grievance politics dressed up as advocacy. And Black America deserves better than that. And that is Chris's Corner.
I mean, home invasion, stalking, and harassment charges. Is it racist to charge someone for breaking into somebody else's home and threatening them? And is it racist that did racism cause him to have a extramarital affair for not just a moment or two, but apparently for years? I mean, let me tell you something. In the law, a sexual relationship with between a supervisory person and an employee below them on the pay scale, Chris, that is a classic case of quid pro quo sexual harassment. There's nothing racist about proceeding against him for that.
And here's Jamele's direct quote. She said, if Sharon Moore looked different, this would be a lesson learned, quote unquote, and a new contract, not a pink slip. He wasn't evaluated on wins and losses. He was judged on skin color. I mean, that's absolutely BS. It doesn't matter what color this man is. University of Michigan has a policy that you do not date your subordinates or somebody that you work with. And as you said, Tim, you know, they could be up for sexual harassment lawsuits, all type of stuff. The university is protecting themselves. It doesn't matter that he had a 9-3 record. It doesn't matter what color he was. He broke the policy. And as I said in Chris's Corner, they're trying to protect the brand. They're trying to protect the university. It didn't care. It didn't matter. He could have been going to the Rose Bowl. And if this same situation would have happened, Michigan could have been in the playoffs to win the national championship, going to the Rose Bowl, the whole nine. If the same situation would have happened, he would have still been terminated.
Yeah. The only way that her remarks would be proper or that she could be vindicated for such stupidity in any way is if she could have given examples of similarly situated people, I guess white guys, who had the same types of allegations and were not fired from the university. So, but she didn't, right? And no one, and she knows, and so she doesn't allow herself to be challenged on that. She doesn't take any follow-up questions. Okay, Jamele, so tell me how this is different than any other situation. Do you have examples of the University of Michigan not treating similarly situated people the exact same way? Or are you just making this up in your head?
And she doesn't have any situations because there's been a number of white coaches over the years. Rick Pitino, one of them, the famous basketball coach, who was fired for the exact same thing, having a relationship with a subordinate. We've seen this over and over and over. It had nothing to do with race. I'm an African-American, and I just get sick of hearing people making excuses for someone making stupid mistakes. Race had absolutely nothing to do with
We brought up a bunch of people yesterday. One of them was Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer is a white guy, and he was terminated for inappropriate sexual relations with employees that he was technically supervisory level, management level over them. You cannot do this in the workplace. This is as old as time. It's been in the law books forever. And we could probably do a quick internet search and come up with a million other examples of people who are white, black, brown, and all the colors of the rainbow, because employers cannot allow this to happen in the workplace.
And you can almost take this a step further, because she's totally ignoring the fact of what he did after he was fired.
And all that.
So are you trying to say that because he was fired, because he was black, that's the reason he went out and assaulted his former girlfriend and allegedly put a knife to her throat and allegedly threatened to kill himself because he was fired because he was black? It's just nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's a sad, tragic situation, and people like her acting in that way, they make it worse. You know what I mean? They make the situation worse by getting people all in a tizzy and inflamed on a reason that does not need to be part of the conversation. She's injecting something in that is completely an irrelevant red herring and does not belong in the discussion on this very serious, tragic story.
And I got to tell you, I've been scouring the news the last couple of days about this. She's the only one that's really making that assertion.
That's good, I guess.
That he was fired because of race. Everyone else is saying, we can't believe that you threw your whole life away $6 million salary on I think the phrase is putting your pickle where you make your nickel. I heard that yesterday. I was like, I like that. I like
Flip that, Joey.
Putting your pickle where you make your nickel. Just silly. Now the other thing too.
Not even the cackling hens on The View.
Scarface said something like that.
Did he say that?
Don't get high on your own supply.
Don't
Mike.
get high on your own supply. Exactly.
So, Chris, not even the View ladies have
one
jumped in on this one.
No
huh?
one has come to his fence. Now, one thing that has happened, which I did hear, especially among some African American liberal women, is they're making the assertion that if he wouldn't have been messing around with a white woman or marrying a white woman, maybe he wouldn't have had all of this trouble. I have heard that. I have heard that assertion that it's the white woman that got him in trouble. But I'm not hearing a lot of things that he was fired because of his race, and maybe that's progress, I guess, among the African American community.
Guess.
Not saying.
I thought we got past that with the Jeffersons.
I guess so. Who knows? All right, Tim, Speaker Stump Speech at 5:07.
Yes.
Ish.
The climate cult has been crushed, at least for now, and we'll explain why.
Can't wait to hear that at 5:07. And then at 5:24, we're going to speak with Abby Foster. She's a Senior Vice President of Policy and Advocacy at Retail Energy Advancement. We're going to talk about Nick Schroer's bill to offer energy choice to consumers. And as we know, as good conservatives, choice is always good. And at 5:45, Joey is going to review Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet. Did I say it French enough?
Said it okay, a little bit better.
Timothée Chalamet.
Tap your cigarette when you do it. Timothée.
And it rhymes. All right. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head Vic head here.
And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh.
No, ho.
Oh. Log on to newstalkstl.com for your chance to win great prizes from Ami's Pizzeria and Restaurant, Small Cakes Cupcakery and Creamery, and Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering. newstalkstl.com.
Oh.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Trump administration is defending the seizure of an oil tanker off Venezuela despite that country's protests and domestic Democratic criticism. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told the House panel the purpose was
to ensure that we're pushing back on a regime that is systematically covering and flooding our country with deadly drugs and killing our next generation of Americans.
At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt added,
"We're not going to stand by and watch sanctioned vessels sail the seas with black market oil, the proceeds of which will fuel narco-terrorism of rogue and illegitimate regimes around the world."
Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat from Maryland.
The real goal here is clearly regime change in Venezuela, and
accomplishing regime change by force.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
Germany wants Russia to explain alleged interference. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Germany's summoned Russia's ambassador following accusations of sabotage, cyber attacks, and election interference. German Foreign Ministry spokesman Martin Gies says the goal of these Russian cyber and disinformation attacks is clear: to divide society, stir up mistrust, provoke rejection, and weaken confidence in democratic institutions. German officials have previously accused Russia of hybrid warfare attacks to destabilize Europe. Moscow hasn't immediately returned a request for comment on Friday. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Days of torrential rain in Washington state have caused historic floods, stranding families on rooftops and washing over bridges. National Guard troops went door to door early Friday to evacuate the farming city of Burlington, north of Seattle. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 245 points. The NASDAQ dropped 398. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-793-8548.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-793-8548.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around minus 10, some areas to the north minus 20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff. Looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores Restaurantandgrill.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but you're... Now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Democrats obviously pushed for the extension of these subsidies during the shutdown. You had a group of Democrats in the Senate who said, give us a vote on health care, we'll reopen the government. Still no solution. Were all of those tactics working?
So that's not a question for me to answer. That's a question for Republicans to answer. Why did they shut the government down? We've raised the issue of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And by the way, the overwhelming majority of the American people are with us. 5 legislative days left before tens of millions of people experience dramatically increased health care premiums.
Liar. I don't think Hakeem Jeffries said one truthful thing in that entire answer.
You know what he can't say, but he'll say that because the Democrats shut down the government for 45 days or however it was, there wasn't enough time this year to vote on some type of health care act before the tax credits expire. So that helps them in the long run because they're going to vote. They're going to run on this in next year. And they're saying that they want a 3-year clean extension of the tax credits. They don't want any type of compromises or anything to happen. Plus, the government is scheduled to shut down again in January.
Yep,
and
here we go again.
They may still try to shut the government down on these tax credits again if they see that this is favorable for them.
I'm very happy that we're finally admitting after 15 years that what the Democrats did with Obamacare was a complete and utter disaster. And the Democrats now have to admit it themselves. They won't flat out say that, but by asking for massive subsidies that were supposed to expire this year that they created, asking for those to renew is an admission that Obamacare cannot stand on its own 2 feet. The problem is now Republicans have to clean up this mess like we've had to do with the Biden inflation disaster as well. And some voters have gotten used to Obamacare being in existence because this is what the Democrats do. They put some crappy program in place. Some people benefit from it. And then the minute it starts getting pulled back or taken away, even when it's a failure, Republicans are being blamed for taking away people's free stuff. So now Republicans have an opportunity, and they need to seize on the opportunity to do something on healthcare. Rally around something, call it whatever you want to call it, and say, this is the free market solution.
And at this stage of the game, because there are 5 separate Senate proposals to change healthcare, there's 3 or 4 proposals in the House among Republicans to reform healthcare and these Obama tax credits. It's to the point now where President Trump has got to jump in and say that this is the plan that I support, rally everybody behind it, and get something done. The president has said that he is starting to lean towards one of these particular programs, but he hasn't said yet. I think at this stage of the game, we need some presidential leadership to tell the House and Senate, this is what we're doing. Now rally around it. Thune, Johnson, get it done.
Yeah, and unless they throw a Hail Mary, I do not see it happening next week. They're going to push this into next year, and they're going to make it an election year issue, and Republicans are going to need to come up with some solutions so they don't get beat over the head with this like they did in 2018. In 2018, we had the same kind of sort of situation going on with another issue regarding healthcare, and Republicans literally had no response to it. So they got to provide something. They've got a lot of great ideas. Congressman Eric Burleson unveiled a big plan last weekend, the Maha healthcare plan. It has to do with putting the free market back into place. Our healthcare system is a disaster because of the unholy alliance of big government, big insurance, and big hospital.
Yeah. And I think the Democrats ultimately would have wanted to make these Obamacare credits permanent. They couldn't, because these specialized Obamacare tax credits were passed under reconciliation, and you can't make anything permanent under reconciliation. So they want to, but they wanted to get what they could, get it in, get people used to it. And then when this situation arises where they expire, there's too much pressure on the legislators to not continue these and have them keep going.
And now the whole thing's blown up.
Yeah.
Now the whole thing is completely blown up, and they're going to have to come up with a solution for this because Obamacare is an absolute mess. As all of us predicted it would be 14 years ago, this was not an improvement to healthcare. This was big government getting into bed with big insurance company. And the worst kept secret that finally came out, none of these subsidies are going to actual people. They're going to the big insurance companies.
And I think ultimately the Democrats, of course, knew that Obamacare was not going to work because, Tim, their ultimate plan is they want a single payer plan where the government pays for people's health care. So I think they were trying to say, look, we're instituting this plan to change health care. even this didn't work. We just need to go to single payer
Yeah.
like Bernie Sanders wants.
And if we do that, there'll be no place on the planet, Chris, where you can go for good health care,
Yeah.
because that's why everybody comes here. I saw a study yesterday from Canada that showed that wait times for specialty operations and surgical procedures 5 times as long in Canada. And there was this horribly tragic story where this young woman had to have an operation for something called a parathyroid disease. She wasn't eligible in her Canadian province. She wasn't going to be allowed to transfer to another province. So you know what they told her? We'll set you up with an assisted suicide plan. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a horrific downward spiral to what happens with government-run healthcare.
And you remember during the debate about Obamacare, where they were talking about in the national healthcare plans in Canada and in Great Britain, they have death panels where they basically say, hey, your care is going to cost a whole bunch of money. There's not really a high chance that this is going to work. We're just not going to spend the money on you. Sorry, get your affairs in order and find you assistant suicide doctor.
Remember when Democrats said that didn't exist? That was all imaginary.
Yeah.
It absolutely exists in a lot of these heavy socialist countries. It's exactly what they're trying to bring here. I don't know why they want everything to fail. I guess it's so that they can lord over everyone and control every aspect of your lives. What is it with Democrats? Why can't they just leave us all alone? I don't get it.
Because they have the best ideas, and if you would just let them run your life, things would be so much better. That's their belief system.
Just like in North Korea.
Yeah. Exactly.
5:12 in the PM. Speaker some speech in a minute. The climate. Here's one good piece of news as we head towards the end of the year. The climate cult seems to be completely falling apart in an epic, catastrophic fashion. Why has that happened? Article from The Hill I'll tell you about. And can we have other options for our energy production and usage? Senator Nick Schroer's had a bill the last couple of years that would offer Missouri consumers and ratepayers just that. Abby Foster, Senior Vice President, Policy Advocacy at Retail Energy Advancement League, is going to talk to us about energy deregulation. How about that? And at 5:45, a moment we've all been waiting for. Producer Joey V, Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet.
Timothée, that's how you say it.
Joey says there is tons of Oscar buzz around this flick on the big screen.
I would not miss this. It comes out on Christmas Day, but I'm giving it a little preview now so you can get excited. Buy your tickets. Pick out your seat as close to the screen as possible. You want to be the first one to get it in your eyeballs.
So after you're done eating, drinking, and being merry and being around the family members for 36 hours, go to the movie theater and watch this Oscar contender.
Yeah. And did you guys pay attention to the Golden Globe nominations at all?
Missed that.
A little bit.
Missed it?
Darn.
I mean, they're fake. It's 400 foreign critics that pick out celebrities they want to see in a room with them. So they just give nominations anyone that'll show up. But one of the new categories they had was Best Podcast. And I forgot to submit for that. I'm so sorry, guys.
I did hear some controversy in there that Joe Rogan, who has the #1 podcast in the world, got slighted, was not up for Best Podcast.
How's that possible?
Yeah, how can you have the #1 podcast in the world and not be up for Best Podcast?
They didn't want anyone controversial. Maybe that's why I didn't submit. I knew you guys would make everyone mad in liberal Hollywood.
Speaking one thing about Marty Supreme, the table tennis movie, not ping pong, the table tennis movie. Would this have been a better movie, Joey, if it would have been in 3D so you can have the ping pong ball coming straight to your head?
I didn't think of that. Of course it would have been. Everything's better in 3D. That's why I can't wait to see Avatar 3 when it comes out in a couple weeks.
Well, there you have
That's a tease for a future movie review, I think.
Coming down the pike. All right. The climate cult seems to be epically falling apart in catastrophic fashion. Why is that so? We're going to tell you now and next on today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Courtesy of an op-ed published in The Hill by a fellow whose name I'm going to try to pronounce, but will completely butcher. A lot of consonants here. Vijay Jayaraj. That's my best effort.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Vijay, for writing this. It's an excellent article. Check it out at thehill.com. The collapse of the Paris Agreement and the unmasking of the net zero illusion were never hard to predict, Vijay says. Not for anyone with a shred of intellectual honesty. It doesn't take a fancy research title or an advanced degree. The writing was carved deep into the stone of energy reality. which no press release, no activist lobby, my side note, not even Greta Thunberg, and no billionaire-backed foundation could erase. Most nations, particularly those early in the process of building their futures, offered only empty nods to their climate targets. Yeah, they would all go like, yeah, whatever, we'll try to do that, and then they completely ignored it. Their participation was a transparent quest for nothing other than political leverage. The climate crusade survived by hijacking the political class, manipulating data through compliant scientists, some of which have been exposed over the last few weeks, if you've been paying attention, and converting media empires into megaphones of fear. I like that. That's fantastic. Bill Gates famously stepped away from the front lines of climate alarmism just this year in a recent essay. So it wasn't like an offhand comment or a hot mic moment. No, the guy actually wrote about it and published it, timed just perfectly for the ridiculously silly United Nations COP30, an annual gathering of jet-setting moralists. Remember that, where they went down to the rainforest and they cut half the rainforest down so they could put up the hotels and fly in their jets? So ridiculous. Gates admits, and the recent U.S. Department of Energy report on carbon dioxide supports his view that the world, Joey and Chris, is not going to collapse next year because of climate change. Gates has called for a shift in focus to more immediate needs. Well, that sounds pretty sensible. He says that, quote, we will still rely on fossil fuels for decades. Oh, that must have been a dagger in the heart of Greta Thunberg and all the other lunatics.
Dare you?
Indeed. And that no single technology can decarbonize the global economy and that the pace of change will be slow. Duh, said all the experts in response. He is reacting to the wreckage of ideology from its collision with the laws of physics. In recent New York election campaigns, some of the Green New Deal's most famous apostles, AOC, Bernie Sanders, saw their climate gospel sidelined, no longer commanding the stage. Did you notice? That's true. And all this, even though Mondami won, did you notice how they definitely shifted to the whole affordability crisis that they created? Not a lot of talk about climate alarmism in anything that Mondami or AOC or Sanders said in the lead up to that election. That's an interesting point indeed. Voters instead heard much more this year about housing, jobs, and public safety. Okay, those are all good topics. Their approaches are absolutely wacky, but at least they're talking now about the things that we should be more concerned about. And they heard a lot less this year about decarbonization, offshore wind, or carbon credits. There are signals of a larger shift underway, both in the U.S. and thankfully abroad, where most of the junk science comes from. In the UK's North Sea and off the U.S. East Coast, massive wind projects thankfully are being canceled. The whales say, hurrah, hooray, stop cutting us up every day. Green steel, whatever that is struggling to compete with fossil fuel-based conventional steel. Oil companies, after spending years and billions of dollars on green this and green that and green everything, including virtue signaling along the way, are quietly backtracking on ambitious climate goals. In 2025, Argentina shocked global institutions by saying it will reconsider its membership in the Paris Agreement. President Javier Milei, what a hero, declared that his nation would no longer kneel before climate bureaucrats. China continues its rapid construction of coal-fired power plants, adding more coal capacity than the rest of the world combined. We should all be worried about that. India's coal consumption is at an all-time high, and its government is aggressively auctioning new blocks of coal mines. Developing economies in Asia, South America, know that survival requires fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas. African leaders also are seeking to tap their continent's reserves of hydrocarbons to power economic development. The fragile structure of global decarbonization depended on financing from its chief patron, the United States of America. When that flow of dollars ceased, thanks to the Trump administration, the fading of an already moribund climate narrative accelerated. What remains now is to utterly unmask the 21st century's most malignant fraud and to educate a generation propagandized in public schools and woke universities. No wonder the kids aren't all right these days. They've been just buried in this stuff for the last few years, and it's all been poppycock. The truth has emerged bit by bit. We were once told that wildfires were unprecedented, yet historical data shows fire frequency has declined globally. We were told that the Arctic would be ice-free by now. Remember that? Remember all those predictions and prognostications? Yet it remains completely frozen solid. We were told of a climate-driven food crisis. But the mild warming and the increased carbon dioxide of vital plant food have actually contributed to global greening and record crop harvests. Oops. The food supply is becoming more secure and abundant, not less. The gap between alarmist predictions and observed reality is no longer possible to hide. Scientists deliberately misled the public with cherry-picked data, tortured computer models until they produced the correct, scary results, and misrepresented natural weather events as proof of climate change. What masqueraded as consensus was nothing more than a cartel of profiteers and grifters feeding on public guilt and taxpayer money. This was not good faith scientific inquiry, but a narrative designed to frighten, which is often what comes from the left, to control our choices, to justify a massive political and economic reorganization. And not even talking about all the wasted money involved in this. Much of the public, sensing this dishonesty, doesn't listen any longer. The authority of the climate experts has been damaged, perhaps irrevocably. Their incessant cries of wolf failed to produce the climate beast. The climate cult declared war on the very engines that lifted humanity from poverty and hunger and hardship. Its legacy is economic vandalism and moral decay. Thankfully, the spell is breaking. What's emerging from the rubble of all this mess is not despair, but liberation and freedom, a long-awaited return of reason to a world held hostage by fear. And that's the Speaker Stump speech, courtesy of Professor Vijay today.
What was his last name again, Tim?
I'm going to try to say it again. Jairaj, something like that.
All right.
Jairaj.
I'm just messing with that.
That's why I parked my car, yeah.
And Chris, just so people know, he's not some wackadoodle hack. He is a science and research associate at the CO2 Coalition in Fairfax, Virginia. He has a Master of Science in Environmental Sciences from the University of East Anglia and a postgraduate degree in energy management from the Robert Gordon University, both in the UK. He was a research associate with the Changing Oceans Research Unit at the University of British Columbia, Canada. So, he's a smart dude.
He knows his stuff.
Indeed, indeed. As we do as well. Chris, when we come back, we're going to continue to talk energy. It's Energy Hour here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Would consumers benefit from State Senator Nick Schroer's bill to offer more energy choice to consumers? Maybe a question that answers itself. But we'll dig into the details of the hows, the whats, the whys, the where, and the when with Abby Foster of the Retail Energy Advancement League. She's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around minus 10. Some areas to the north, minus 20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The news and talk
85-year-old Nancy Pelosi, she's finally calling it quits.
that matters to St. Louis.
The people who love Mom Donnie the most are not people who pay bills every day.
This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Where can you find top-rated chiropractic care and more? At Comprehensive Chiropractic. Chiropractic.com is where you find them on the interwebs. Chiropractic.com. Doc Fader was here last night for our big party where we honored all of our investors and our advertisers and our sponsors and everybody who helps with this big old machine known as News Talk STL. Doc Fader's been with us for many years now. We thank him so much for that. And all the great doctors at Comprehensive Chiropractic. They got personal training and sports performance as well. Number one in the region for all of that and more. Fitness and relaxation. Just go to their website, chiropractic.com, and you'll see all that and more. Look, wintertime, as Doc Fader told us a couple weeks ago when he was on with us, very important to not to continue your regimen, whatever that regimen is. And if you don't have a regimen, go to Comprehensive Chiropractic and they'll help you with one. Yes, they do all the foundational chiropractic stuff. They will get you back up on your feet if you're suffering from an acute or chronic injury. They also can help out with so much more. I had a nagging elbow injury that is gone, like as in vanished, because they worked on it for a couple of weeks. We did some We did some shock therapy. It's this little tiny little gizmo they use, and we did a little bit of the needling, and the pain went away. Got that blood flow going. I didn't have to have surgery. Everything's fine. The elbow's all good. Whether it's your back, your neck, your joints, doesn't matter what age you are, young, old. My daughters have gone there because they're both top-notch athletes, swimmer and runner. They have benefited from it. My wonderful wife, Suzanne, goes there. My dad's been going there to get rehab from some surgery he had. It's a wonderful place with wonderful people. They got the Studio Health and Wellness Center. They got the licensed massage therapist. They got the personal trainers, which is very affordable, very reasonable, and will fit into your schedule. Beautiful place, beautiful facility, beautiful people, and they've got all kinds of great deals for the Christmas and holiday season as well. You should check out when you go there. Go to cchiropractic.com for all that and more. Comprehensive Chiropractic at cchiropractic.com. Comprehensive Chiropractic, cchiropractic.com for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10. It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes that glow.
New numbers released by the state of Missouri show Ameren once again cut off power for more than 10,000 customers who failed to pay their electric bills last month. Critics say that Ameren's profits are going up, so why is all of this happening?
Missouri's Public Service Commission published those new numbers that show in October alone, Ameren cut power to more than 17,000 customers who failed to pay their bills. It comes after the commission reported the company cut power to 15,000 customers in September out of the nearly 1.1 million customers they serve.
Well, that seems like a big giant mess. Is there a better way to run the energy railroad? We've got a guest standing by who's going to speak with us about that and more. And then at 5:45, producer Joey V with the brand new movie review of the week, Marty Supreme, coming out on Christmas Day. Without further ado, let's bring in Abby Foster, Senior Vice President for Policy and Advocacy at the Retail Energy Advancement League. Abby, welcome back to the program. It's great to have you today. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, indeed. All right, so Abby, we don't know much about energy choice here in Missouri because I believe we have what's called a utility monopoly situation where wherever we happen to live in the state, that's whoever the provider is for that area. That's pretty much who we get for our different utilities, whether it's gas or electric. That's pretty much the case in Missouri, isn't it?
It is. And as foreign of a concept as it seems for you, for me who lives in Pennsylvania, it seems just as wild that you only have one option and you have to pay whatever a monopoly tells you to pay, because what else in our lives do we have a monopoly and no choice in? So I am just as appalled at your situation as surprising as it may be for me that I have hundreds of options to choose from for my electric bill when I go and shop every month.
Abby, is this the same model that's based on the big cell phone companies? They have to allow smaller companies access to their infrastructure, and those that brought us Mint Mobile, Patriot Mobile, those type of companies. Is this the same type of concept with energy?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the poles and wires are still owned by one company, the utility. They still get a guaranteed rate of return for everything that they manage and invest in and build. And so when your power goes out or if there's downed lines, you still call your local utility and pay those bills directly to them. But for your generation and supply of your bill, you can choose from a variety of different suppliers. One thing that's a little different that we saw with the competition for electric service that didn't really happen as much for the mobile and telecommunications is the variety of power generators that came after. You really only with telecommunications have a couple of options for your cell phone plan. But in Pennsylvania, there's over 100 different power producers that build power, everything from natural gas plants to distributed energy resources, solar, you name it. Whatever's most reliable and most affordable is usually what customers purchase. And then there's customers who have their specific preferences, and based off of that is what private investors build, and we don't have to pay for any of it until we decide to buy that electricity.
So, Abby, I'm sure all of our listeners right now are wondering, does it work? Does it work? And can you explain further as to that?
Yeah, so we have the benefit of being able to look back on the last 25 years and the experience for the states that decided to do this back in the late 90s. And back then, they were in a really similar situation to what a lot of states are dealing with today. Electric rates were increasing at a rapid rate. There was a lot of new investments in jet power generation that needed to happen. There were challenges with reliability. There wasn't a lot of accountability. And so legislators back then in many states said, all right, what else can we do? Can we inject competition and will that benefit our constituents? And so they took a risk and it paid off. So we looked at, there's 14 states in the US that have a fully competitive market where the utilities do not own power plants anymore. Customers don't have to pay one company to build power generation. They can choose from a variety of suppliers. And then there's 10 other states that have this kind of hybrid model where the utilities still own the power generation, but some large customers can go and procure their own electricity wherever they want. But we looked at those 14 states compared to the states where the utilities still own the power plants. And the benefit of the last 25 years is those states have done better on price, on reducing carbon emissions, on the amount of generation that's been built, and reliability.
Abby, is there opportunities here for not only for consumers to have cheaper electricity, but also entrepreneurs to get involved in this as well? I think I remember seeing a concept kind of along the lines of multi-level marketing, where people could sign people up for these independent energy companies and sign people up to, have access to this cheaper energy, and they can start kind of a small business with that as well. Have you heard of that? Is this something also similar to that?
Yeah, they can. So there's hundreds of suppliers that are licensed in the state to do business, and you don't have to own a big power plant or even any power plant generation resources at all in order to sell electricity. So it does create an opportunity for companies to be created and for people to be able to sell, whether it's cost savings or better customer service or interactive programs where people can improve energy efficiency or have a program that's set up with their electric vehicle. There's lots of innovation that comes with it. But in addition to that, it's the variety of customer options that are just from a cost savings perspective. So just billing alone. So I can go on my state shopping website and I can sign up for a rate that's fixed rate for 6 months, for 36 months. I can do a flat monthly bill if I only decide I want to pay, $60 a month. I negotiate that with a supplier. And so even if you're just looking for cost savings, there's a variety of different billing options, and that's the innovation of the market.
Speaking to Abby Foster, Senior Vice President for Policy and Advocacy at the Retail Energy Advancement League. If you want to check out more details on everything we're discussing today, all you have to do is go to retailenergychoice.org, retailenergychoice.org. Abby, we've witnessed some real horror stories around the country over the last few years, especially as we're heading into the winter months. There was that mess down in Texas they had a few years ago and some other places. So, Abby, what about reliability? You talked about how there's cost savings that have been proven looking back over a couple decades now. What about reliability? Does that help with that issue? Does this option help with that issue as well?
It does. And people, oftentimes people who are advocating against competitive markets bring up what happened in Texas. there's a little bit of misinformation going around about what actually caused all of those issues. And it doesn't matter whether it was a competitive market or a monopoly market, whether a utility owned those power plants or a private company did. The weatherization requirements in Texas for that type of cold weather event, those requirements just didn't exist, both the federal requirements or state requirements. And so that was a really unusual weather for Texas. And so it took an event like that to make people kind of sit up and say, okay, well, going forward, we need to have this, this, and this in place with both our grid system, but also for the actual physical power plants to ensure that the lines stay active, that they have the ability for natural gas plants to run when it's cold like that. But the benefit of seeing what happened for customers actually proves the case for competitive markets. So there's pockets of Texas still that are vertically integrated. It's still a utility monopoly, but the majority of Texas is a competitive state. And those customers in the competitive areas that had a fixed rate supply contract with suppliers, which is what I in Pennsylvania typically get with a supplier, is a fixed rate contract. When those prices went through the roof because there wasn't enough supply, those suppliers couldn't recoup those costs from customers because those customers had a fixed rate contract. So the suppliers, the private companies, were the ones that lost their shirt on that. The customers in the areas where it was still a monopoly utility, those utilities, because rates went through the roof, were able to go back and get those costs from customers because those customers didn't have, as ratepayers that are captive ratepayers with a monopoly, they don't have a fixed rate contract with the monopoly. The monopoly can always come back and recoup those costs from customers. So it actually showed how those contracts and the competitive market benefits customers in a way that the monopoly market never can protect them.
Abby, besides the obvious that these big power monopolies don't want to give up their cash cow, what other roadblocks are they putting up to this, saying that why this should not be done?
So you hit the nail on the head on. So they talk about the reliability issue and point to Winter Storm Uri in Texas, which we just talked about, not a case to be proven. The other thing that they often will bring up is look at the rates in Missouri compared to a state like Massachusetts. And the challenge with that is you can't compare states on a price per kilowatt hour versus price per kilowatt hour, because Massachusetts requires 63% of its electricity to come from tier 1 renewable resources. Massachusetts has electric vehicle programs that are baked into the electric rates, and energy efficiency and low income programs. And Missouri has some of those things, but definitely not to the extent as Massachusetts. And so every single state has different requirements passed by the legislature or their utility commission that change what the electric rates and price per kilowatt hour will be. It's also a lot more affordable to build a power plant in Missouri than it is in Massachusetts. There's a lot more resources available in a state like Missouri. So the comparison state by state on price per kilowatt hour is an inappropriate way to look at the data. A correct way to look at it is for your individual state where your policy is which is what makes up your price per kilowatt hour, how fast and how much have your rates increased in that state over time. And so in Missouri, and in a lot of the states that are in similar situations to Missouri, they are increasing at a much faster rate than the competitive states. And actually Missouri this year, in 2024 data shows that Missouri's electric rates have increased the 5th fastest in the country compared to other states. And so even though your rates are still pretty low compared to the rest of the country, you're kind of middle of the pack now, it's increasing at an unreasonable rate for ratepayers.
So, Abby, let's talk about the bill under consideration that may be under consideration in the next legislative session. I know it was under consideration in the last legislative session. It made it pretty far through the process in both the House and the Senate. Tell us a little bit about what specifically State Senator Nick Schroer's proposed legislation would do.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have a champion like Senator Schroer to lead on this bill. He's definitely passionate about this. He's heard from his constituents, both from resident customers, but also from businesses, that they just can't afford to pay more. And so he's coming to the table with solutions. What it would do is it would restructure the market similar to what those other states did in the late 90s, and the same situation that you're in today was what they faced in the 90s. And it would just force the utilities on the power plant side of their business that if they want to build power plants, they can. They just have to compete like any other business. So they can continue to build, but they're no longer going to be able to get reimbursed from ratepayers plus a guaranteed profit. They have to build it just like they do For example, in Illinois, Ameren is a private company that invests in power generation in Illinois. They're not a publicly funded utility on their power generation business in Illinois because Illinois is a competitive state, but they still compete. They still build as a private company. So it's demonstrated that they can do it and still be a profitable company even without ratepayers funding them.
Abby, we know that data centers and AI require a great deal of electricity. Does Senator Shore's bill and deregulation, does it help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of his big championing causes. You want still to be able to have the economic development benefit and the sales tax revenue, but you don't want ratepayers to have to pick up the tax costs associated with the electricity that's needed for these large energy users. And so the benefit of the competitive market is where the risk lies. It's all on the private consumer, the big customer that's coming, and then the private company who's going to build the power to serve them. The regular payers, the rest of the rate base, they don't have to pick up the tab on that at all. And so the large customers, they like that option because they have lots of options in the market to choose from. They can choose from a variety of different plans, bespoke programs built just for them. And then they can have several hundred companies competing for their business rather than just being forced to work just with the utility. And so the cost to build that power plant to serve that customer is done by a private company paid for by that private data center or large energy users. And the rest of the ratepayers don't have to pay for any of it.
Sounds like a very interesting idea indeed.
Let's do it.
We will follow this bill throughout the process. Our guest this afternoon, Abby Foster, Senior Vice President for Policy and Advocacy at the Retail Energy Advancement League, REAL for the acronym there, retailenergychoice.org. Abby, thanks for the very interesting conversation, and I'll bet we'll have an opportunity to speak with you again in the new year.
Thanks, Abby.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Well, Chris, it sounds like something we should at least have a discussion about.
I mean, we see the model. It already works with the big cell phone companies, Patriot Mobile, Mint Mobile. They use the lines of Verizon, AT&T, and we get cheaper cell phone service.
And our phones work.
Exactly.
Most of the time.
Exactly. So why not use that same model when it comes to energy? Tell these big utility companies you have to share your infrastructure and let entrepreneurs and other companies come in there and give us cheaper energy.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it has worked famously for the consumer in the telecom world. So I think we should explore the option in the energy world as well. We're all talking about how we need to have better, cheaper, more accessible, more affordable energy for all Americans. This sounds like something we should at least have a discussion about.
Especially with AI and these data centers, which use a tremendous amount of electricity.
For sure. Hey, when we return, I got to skedaddle out of here. I got to get to a little appointment tonight, a little event. But Chris and Joey, I'm going to listen like a listener. I'm going to be running out to the car, listening to the review of Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet, that Joey says has Oscar buzz all up and around it, one side and down the other. That'll be next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Cold, cloudy Saturday, low of 23, a high of 27. Some light snow, mainly northeast of St. Louis. We may get clipped by some very, very light snow in the late afternoon, early evening. So let's be on guard for that. Otherwise, Sunday is going to be a dangerously cold day, especially in the morning with a low of 5. Wind chill down to around minus 10. Some areas to the north, minus 20. The afternoon, 16 with a wind chill of 7. The winds do turn lighter, and it is sunny and dry, but a frigid Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
Tonight's story behind the story, the Empire State Building. Things you probably didn't know.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbler's, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger.
As Christmas approaches, I want to encourage you to support Missouri businesses this holiday season. When you're out shopping for the perfect gift, please stop by a local store and choose something made right here in the Show Me State. Missouri businesses are the backbone of our communities, and supporting them is a priority for me. To find Missouri-made goods and retailers near you, please visit buymissouri.net. Merry Christmas, and please remember to buy Missouri.
Paid for by the Office of Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
I have a purpose.
Okay. Let me ask you something. Do you make money at this little table tennis thing?
Not yet.
Do you have a job?
No.
How do you live?
Well, I live with the confidence if I believe in myself, the money will follow.
And what do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work
That
out?
doesn't even enter my consciousness.
Maybe it should. And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box. You think it's that simple?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody wants to rule.
5:47 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, and that is the trailer for the new movie Marty Supreme. Joey, before we get to that, I'm getting kind of a Rockies vibe here, but we'll get more into that. Play the theme.
You, as a Rocky expert, would know. I saw you run up those stairs in Philly.
Thank you.
What movie are you playing?
I kind of wish her theme was a little longer. I kind of get into that every week, though. Seriously, I do. I like it.
I asked my dad if there was anything I could improve about the segment, and he said it should be shorter. I was like, well, the theme song, it's sung by my girlfriend, and she does that for free, so I can't do that. He's like, no, the music, the funky music I play when I say this is the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, he's like, cut that off. That's 15 seconds too long.
No. I'm trained like a Pavlov's dog. When I hear that, I know it's movie time.
Well, I think my dad's brain's just been rotted by the cell phone that he's been swiping on, looking at TikTok, so he can't handle 15 extra seconds. I try to explain to him that's a little bit different in radio. You know, people like jingles. They like to tune in when they perk up when they hear that song. If it was just a YouTube video, it'd be a little bit different.
I perk up. I'm Pavlov's dog. I am trained.
Well, Marty Supreme, set in 1950s New York, stars Timothée Chalamet, and he is a table tennis player who will do anything it takes. He's a hustler. I mean, he'll do anything it takes to make it to Japan to play in the World Championships and to be the best table tennis player in the world. And we were asking earlier, is ping pong offensive term to table tennis players? And I think I solved it. There's an equivalent in my life. Disc golf.
Right.
If you say disc golf to someone, then you're showing them respect. And if you say frisbee golf, they'll beat you up because frisbee is a copyrighted name. You don't say frisbee golf because it doesn't refer to the sport as a whole. So
disc golf sounds more professional.
Exactly. So apparently ping pong was copyrighted, and that's why they say table tennis. So it's the same sort of thing.
I didn't know that.
Now, Marty Supreme, it's based on a real guy very, very loosely. There was this guy, Marty Reisman, who in 1958 and 1960, he was the U.S. men's singles table tennis champion. He was out in New York. He would hustle people at these table tennis halls.
So he's like a Minnesota Fats of table tennis.
Exactly.
All right.
You know, there aren't even pool halls around anymore. You know, can you imagine there being table tennis rooms all over that you would go and play just table tennis
I
at?
thought they were just in people's basements.
I know. I used to play at pool halls every week with my friends. We would go to a place like the Pink Galleon or something.
Yes.
And we would just play billiards, and it was wonderful. And now, though, it's hard to find those. I think Pink Galleon on Fifi is still around, though. But just imagine, you know, going down to your local table tennis recreational facility,
smoke-filled room,
and then you pretend like you're not very good, and then you get some loser to play you, and then eventually you just whip him for all his money, and then they find out that you were conning them, and they beat the crap out of you.
I never knew there was such a thing.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff Marty Reisman would do in New York, and that's what Timothée Chalamet does. Also, this Marty guy, he would do the halftime shows for the whole Harlem Globetrotters.
Ah, okay.
So the Harlem Globetrotters, they'd have to take a break, and then Marty would come out and do table tennis tricks.
Okay.
You know, he would play an entire game with the bottom part of a chess piece. Instead of having a paddle, he would just use this chess piece. And then another great trick that he would do is when the ball would come at him, he would get underneath it and blow, and then it would just hover over his mouth. So crazy tricks like that. And
I've seen Bruce Lee play table tennis with nunchucks. Have you ever seen that video?
Yeah,
All
of
right.
course. I think that's real too. Now, I have mad respect for Timothy Chalamet. He's got a lot of hustle and charm. It's kind of an equivalent to this character. It feels like it's an extension of his real
Okay.
personality, just dialed up to 11 with the perfect script. And I've never would say that he was my favorite actor, but I appreciate some of the movies like Dune. Dune 1 is really rewatchable. I've watched Dune 1 a few times. And then Lady Bird, Little Women. These are all great movies that he's been in.
The King, which I saw a couple of weeks ago.
I need
was
to
good.
check that one out. You and Tim
Great
talk
movie.
about The King.
Great movie.
I think that's on Netflix. I will look at that. But this is the best that he has ever been. He is in every scene of the movie. He is hilarious. He is fast talking in every scene. And he is going to get nominated for an Oscar. I guarantee it.
So is he this generation's Leonardo DiCaprio, would you say?
I would say he is exactly like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah,
I think he's
Leonard. That's a
trying
Leonard.
to follow Leonardo's trek,
Mhm.
stardom of being very selective of the types of movies
Mhm.
that he takes. And they're going to be pitted up against each other at the Oscars because
Oh, yeah.
one battle after another is going to get all the nominations as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he is this next generation's Leonardo or if Leo is still Leo, if he takes away the trophy. But it's going to be those guys, 1 and 2. There's a funny thing happening with the Golden Globes where they don't have to go up against each other because, you know, one's a drama and one's a comedy. They have all these stupid category fraud examples in the Golden Globes. So
I have to ask, is Marty still with us?
Marty died a little bit
Okay,
ago.
okay.
It's so sad, but
Yeah.
he was always like our version of who's that bowling great who was always a showboat? Was that Dick Weber?
Dick Weber from here from St. Louis.
Yeah, he's
and
kinda
Earl
like-
Anthony. I'm taking you back there. He was
Yeah,
good too.
He's like one of those showboats in a sport that nobody really pays attention to, but he's like the bad boy. That's what Marty Reisman is and what this
He's the
movie is trying to
Minnesota
show.
Fats of table tennis.
Exactly. The Hustler with Paul Newman, of course. I got to rewatch that. So now it's official. The big reason I was really looking forward to Marty Supreme is because it was a Safdie movie.
Okay.
I told you about The Smashing Machine with
Mhm.
The Rock and Emily Blunt.
Right.
That was Benny Safdie's movie. And now this is Josh Safdie's movie. They have made some incredible frenetic movies like Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler and also Robert Pattinson. He was in Good Time.
Will he be up for an award, a director's award, do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
And so seeing what these brothers can do separately, you find out who the talented brother is. I did not like The Smashing Machine
Okay.
at all. It was a shot-for-shot remake of a documentary.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember.
it cost $80 million. And I said, where the heck did the money go? All you did was ask the original guy for his wardrobe. This movie is also $80 million. And it is amazing. It is, here it comes, drum roll. It is 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Whoa!
Marty Supreme, you know my rule. I can't give 5 stars on
Yeah.
the first watch, but I will be buying the 4K Blu-ray the day it comes out. So it's 4.5, nearly perfect movie for me. It's exactly my type of movie.
So is there any potential crying scenes that make you emotional?
It almost had me cry at the end. My girlfriend was crying,
Mhm.
and the ending is so good that people actually stood up and applauded at my
Wow.
screening.
Okay.
Now, of course, they're fanboys of this studio A24, and they were very excited to see Timothée, but the entire theater of a few hundred people was applauding. Which is
That
weird.
good.
Who's going to hear that? Who are you applauding
Yeah,
for? You think
yeah.
Timmy's going to hear you back in wherever he's at? Now, the thing I love most about this movie, 2.5 hours long, but the
Oh.
editing is so fast paced that you don't even notice it. So you're actually getting more time with these characters that
Okay.
you love. So I highly recommend checking it out, even if that running time scares you.
Yeah, 2.5 hours scares me.
That's the same thing that happened with One Battle After Another. That was like 2 hours and 40 minutes,
Right.
but you don't notice it. It flies by. And there's an interesting thing I love where it's all 80s music. This is a
Oh, okay.
1950s movie, but it's set to 80s music, which I really respond to. I love that new wave sound. So all of the scenes edited to 80s music was really painting a picture in my head. Now when I hear those songs,
Mhm.
I start thinking about this movie.
Would you say this is his best work so far?
Yes, this is Timothée Chalamet's best work by far, and he's been kind of a part-time player in most of the other
Mhm.
movies that he's in. He is in every scene in this, so he deserves a nomination. And the dude says some crazy things. He has some opponents that are of different races,
Mhm.
and he just says the most insane thing about some of these people. Like one guy is Japanese. And he's like, I'm going to drop another bomb on him that they couldn't finish in World War II. And he says, this one girl, there's no way I got her pregnant. I do these exercises where I cut off my pee and hold it for 10 seconds at a time. So just be ready for your mouth to be open when you hear some of the things that come out of this guy's mouth. Probably the funniest sports movie I've ever seen. It's the best. Gwyneth Paltrow's been in a long time.
I was about to say, there's a major star in here, and you have not mentioned her once.
Gwyneth Paltrow has been slumming it in the Marvel movies for like 15 years. She literally does not even remember some of the movies she's been in. Someone asked her about the Spider-Man movie she was in. She's like, I wasn't in that. They said, yes, you were. Wow. So she doesn't even count the Spider-Man movie as one of the ones that she got paid millions of dollars to be in. So I think 2011, she was in Contagion.
Okay.
And that's probably how long it's been since I've seen her be incredible, blow my mind.
What's her role in the movie? She's his girlfriend?
She's
Okay.
She's a very famous celebrity that's trying to bring back her career by doing a play. And Marty sees her and sets his sights on her and tries to woo her, because when he wants something, he does whatever he can to get her. And Gwyneth Paltrow plays the wife of Mr. Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary is in this. And he's incredible. The Shark Tank guy that we always see on Fox News.
Yeah. I thought the name sounded familiar, but I didn't get it with acting.
Yeah, he's such a big Trump supporter, or at least a capitalist.
Okay.
That you always see him on Fox News
always.
and
Shark
Tank. And he is an incredible actor in this. So I would just recommend this wholeheartedly. Comes out Christmas Eve is the first day that it comes out. Make plans to see this over Christmas. And it also costs $80 million, like Smashing Machine, except it's one of the best movies that's ever been made.
What about the cinematography and all that stuff? Or is it just a good acting movie?
One of the best cinematographers that's ever done it. He's the same guy that shot Seven, one of my favorite. It's probably the movie I've seen the most in my entire life. So it was great to see.
Were you impressed that I asked about cinematography?
I was impressed. So, Chris, if you have the time, go see Marty Supreme.
Marty Supreme, 4.5 stars, y'all. So that's one of Joey's highest ratings ever. He can't give 5s, but 4.5 is about closest it gets. He'll probably go see it again, and it'll be a 4.5.
Yes,
so
sir.
go see Marty Supreme. That's Joey's Movies. That is the end of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Up next is Larry Connors USA. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great weekend.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Grandpa had a soft spot for dogs.
Yeah, he always had treats in his pocket.
He said if you're going to take care of people, you better take care of their best friends too.
Is that why we help dog shelters?
That's right. For every service call, we donate 10 pounds of dog food to local dog shelters, helping dogs waiting for a home.
Grandpa would like that.
He sure would.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Columbo here from